Hi guys, thank you very much for joining me. So this video is specifically about Taurus North Node and I suppose Scorpio South Node. And also simultaneously it is about second house North Node and eighth house South Node because they mirror each other. So you are looking at one right now. Okay, so I have North Node in Taurus and it is a fine ride. Okay, so you will always just be. That's interesting, okay? You may not be who you always wanted to be, but you are always gonna be. There's nothing to be afraid of or ashamed of. There are certain things that you may not ever get rid of. It's going to come back to that particular fixed center. It might not be too long a time that you try something else, and while you're trying so hard to be greater, to be good at things, to be better off, to be stronger or smaller or larger or fitter or sexier, every time you work too hard to question your needs, question your money, question your everything, everyday stuff, the more time you pour into it, the less you are likely to succeed. You have very interesting mechanisms working through you, but the plowing or like walking about trying to contain yourself or trying to really make sense never really makes any sense. That means that you might be plowing for no one, or you might be parading for nothing. You could be here getting thinner, but then getting bigger. You could be here eating a lot of cakes and biscuits, and then at the same time also not gaining weight. There are certain things about us people, with especially Taurus North Node, that are a mystery to other people. It's like, oh my gosh, the guy just gives and gives and gives and gives. But at the same time, there is a sadness to the story. And the sadness is already accepted before it's even here. So the South Node in the 8th house, and Scorpio especially, usually represents given gifts to those that hurt us. You know, it's like you kind of understand like that your partner will probably get violent, you know. You kind of can see that you'll probably be kicked out or replaced at a job. There are certain things that cannot nurture you for too long because you're always maybe seeming a bit insincere to other people. You're still trying to taste the truth. You're still trying to like work things out. And like the more you're like, huh, what's going on? Why did that happen? Why did that person say that? Like, how much time like did that person spend here? Like the more inquisitive you are, Taurus North Node, the less likely you're going to be placed where you're meant to be placed. And usually it's at home, okay? You don't have to look too far, and you don't have to kind of like get ugly for anything. You don't have to get ugly for a dream. So it's like, I'm going to put everything on the line. I'm going to sell my house. I'm going to make this, make that, you know. And sometimes you guys can go to a real extreme just to be lucky with here and now, who you are and where you come to be. The point here is not to worry or work a lot, but the irony still stands. There's an irony, you'll snap back to where you were. Okay, so like for example, you felt uneconomical, you couldn't remember how to take your time with spending or take your time with yourself, you felt frazzled or frizzled, or you didn't understand where your resources, time or power was going, and then you create like a list of to-dos. You see a therapist, you get on some kind of like parasite cleanse laxative, you try to be at peace with your hormonal levels, you try to educate yourself on time management, on life, and eventually, no matter what, even though you have all that knowledge behind you, and knowledge is power, as your South Node is in Scorpio / 8th house, wherever it is, you would be so big, but you're still the same person. It's kind of like Groundhog's Day sometimes. It's like you will achieve and you can't even tell that you have. And you might still have an issue, a conundrum, like, oh my gosh, I was late, I didn't do my best, or like, oh my god, I wasn't here before, what are they gonna think of me? How's it gonna look on paper? Like, do they realize who I am? You know, are they going to really listen to my sound? Are they gonna really like understand my cooking? There are very, very, very nervous people around you, maybe usually, and they want to see how you can stabilize them. And you might feel like one of the most nervous wrecks, you know, but you aren't. And you are incorruptible or can never be corrupted. So that's one of the weirdest, most fantastic, and sometimes scary things about you. One of the luckiest things is when you go to a college, for example, and you're learning so hard and you're working so hard, and no matter what, you still get a C. You know, you still get a B, but never an A. That's really good because maybe you're not fit for certain things, and that is why they cannot work with you. Where you are is okay, it's fine, and sometimes it's final. And you might not like this, but you may not quite know why, but reality starts to become you. And people work themselves out based on you or blessed by you, even though you yourself might never be fully seen and sometimes not even helped. And that is how come you guys are the growth. You know, you really like have it in you to really grow and outgrow the previous states. But if you are trying too many things in too many ways, if you're mixing your diets up, if you're trying too many little gadgets and things and trinkets to just make yourself work somehow, especially now since Uranus is in Taurus, make sure that you just remember your home. And maybe in the last few years you've made huge beginnings, huge mistakes, huge changes, but look at how easy you are at just snapping back and simply embodying you. One of the weirdest things, okay, about this particular alignment is being out of tune all the time. So if you have like a certain disease or disorder, there are not likely going to be ways to fix it, but there's going to be a way to function much better with it. So that's very unusual, very full on for you guys sometimes. If you've been born, for example, blind, or if you have found through your extreme need to change things sometimes, or to give yourself more, or to become greater at things, you might not have noticed, but your endocrine health is completely destroyed, or maybe you've destroyed your own body, like through a substance, okay, like meth, for example, or you've been telling yourself off so much that you actually forgot who you are, and you might have put so many masks on yourself just to not be who you are. If that's happened, you have to surrender to it, and sometimes some of you guys, some of us, work even better and become even more enlightened, even more and more enlightened through having difficulty and sometimes also genetic, physical, or practical vulnerabilities. You know, some of you guys, some of us might have no money all our lives, or very scarce income, or just fluctuating income, and at the same time have a beautiful home, have a ginormous family, or like just have goodness placed into our hands. When you are here and you realize that you already kind of have it all, okay, there's nothing you need to do, okay, so you just welcome, okay, welcome yourself. You'll always be where you need to be, and much more likely you will probably get the first prize, the first place, or the most compatible people, okay, and you don't even like them maybe, but here they are, okay. You can get gifts from the world of another kind. You can get esoteric gifts. You can also get intense psychosis that eventually still lands you on your feet. And you can be on the brink of life and death, or on the brink of creation, and still there's going to be always, always a comfortable place to stay. Maybe just, even if it's a little bit twisted, a nice person, or at least one or two people that perhaps all mirror each other. And there are going to be people or a person that perhaps is employed by you, or is giving to you like a friend of a friend of a friend, but it just seems humorous, strange, or phenomenal, enormous, the amount sometimes that people that don't know you can give you, and the types of friends that you can have like out of nowhere. And please forgive yourself and other people for sometimes not knowing why you go on a tangent. And even though you don't really want to get there, you will come back to you. Okay, so phenomenal to see you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this reading. And if you'd like to know more about yourself or others in your life, have a look at my materials and also check out my website and stuff. And yeah, I do readings and all sorts of things. So thank you so much, Taurus / second house North Node. I hope that you enjoy yourself and stay in touch. Bye.